Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the work of MacArthur Fellow Angela Duckworth, and it reveals this really powerful evolution in the science of achievement. It's a journey that starts with pure, raw determination and ends up somewhere you might not expect, with the power of the people around us.
You know, we love those stories about prodigies, right? The natural-born geniuses. We almost always chalk up incredible success to just one thing, talent. But what if that's just a distraction? What if focusing on talent makes us completely miss the real secret to high achievement? So Angela Duckworth's research puts a powerful idea on the table, a direct contrast to talent, a quality she calls grit. So on one side, you've got talent, where things just seem to come easy, and on the other, you've got grit. That is the relentless, stubborn commitment to just show up, day after day, for years.
Okay, so first let's really get our heads around this foundational concept, because it totally changed the game for how we look at success.
Grit is not about working hard on a project for a couple of weeks. No, think of it more like a marriage to a goal. It's about sticking with it for years, maybe even decades, because you are just so passionate about it. It's the difference between a hobby and finding that one thing you want to do, as Duckworth says, all day, every day, for the rest of your life. Now check this out. This number, 0, is fascinating. It represents the statistical correlation between grit and talent, and it's basically 0. What that means is that being naturally gifted at something gives you absolutely no advantage in also being gritty. They're totally separate things. In fact, sometimes having that raw talent can actually be a disadvantage because maybe you never had to build up that muscle of perseverance.
But here's the thing. Grit is only part of the story. As Duckworth kept digging into her research, she realized something huge. To really, truly succeed, you have to look beyond yourself.
This quote right here, it just nails a critical point. Our past does not have to define our future. Your environment, and even more importantly, the people in that environment, can completely change your path. A resume, it only tells you what someone's done, right? Not who they could become.
And this brings us to this profound idea Duckworth uncovered, the power of guardian angels. These are the people who see a potential in us that we don't even see in ourselves, and they step in at just the right moment to change everything. There's no better way to understand this than with an incredible, real-life story. So I want you to meet Cody Coleman. His life story just seems impossible. He was literally conceived and born in prison, never met his father, and grew up surrounded by chaos. And yet, he would go on to graduate from MIT with a nearly perfect GPA.
I mean, really, how is a journey like that even possible? It defies all the odds. Grit alone just can't explain that kind of leap. From a start like that to the absolute highest levels of academia, something else had to be going on.
Right. You don't get from being born in prison to graduating from MIT with slow and steady progress. You just can't. You get there when your life hits an exponential curve. It just shoots upward, dramatically. Duckworth and Coleman literally drew this out on the back of a napkin. This is what a transformed life looks like.
So what was the secret? It wasn't one thing. It was a whole chain of people who stepped in at exactly the right moments. His grandmother, who did the best she could. His older brother, Sean, who came home for a visit and changed everything. His high school teachers, Chantel and Norm, who basically adopted him. And then tons of mentors after that.
And this right here, this illustrates the turning point perfectly. Cody's in the car one day, and his brother Sean asks him about college. Cody kind of jokes, yeah, right, like Princeton. And Sean just says these two simple words, why not? And in that single moment, Cody's whole internal story, that little voice that always said, why bother, was replaced by a brand new, powerful question.
And you can just see how this thing builds over time. Each one of these guardian angels, they didn't just offer a little help. They opened a door to a completely new world, with new people and new opportunities. His teachers set up a warm clothes fund for him at MIT. He then goes on to become the first black person to get a computer science PhD from Stanford in 20 years. And today, he's a tech founder. That right there is a life on an exponential curve.
So how can we be that person for someone else? I mean, it sounds like this huge, monumental thing, right? But science actually gives us a surprisingly simple and really powerful tool that any of us can use.
Okay, so check this out. Researchers got a group of students to write essays. The teachers, they marked them up with all the critical feedback, the classic red ink all over the page. Then they tried out different ways of giving that feedback back to the students. And one method stood out with just incredible results.
The process is actually super simple. You give the honest, tough feedback. You don't sugarcoat it, but you frame it with a very specific message that completely changes how it lands.
This is it. These are the words. Let's break down why this is so genius. It does two critical things at the exact same time. First, it says, I have high standards for you, which shows the person you respect their abilities. And second, it says, I believe you can meet them, which shows you have faith in their potential. The results were just stunning. The kids who got this specific message were twice as likely to revise their essays. But wait, it gets even better. A follow-up study found that years later, these same kids had achieved much greater academic success. This wasn't just a one-time boost, it was a long-term change to their life's trajectory.
And that is the absolute heart of being a guardian angel. It's about implanting belief. You believe in someone on the day they are full of doubt. You believe in them when their resume doesn't look so hot. You basically hold that belief for them until they are strong enough to hold it for themselves.
So, this is way more than just a feel-good idea. It's a real, actionable, science-backed way to change a life. Yeah, grit is vital, but it grows best in a garden that's tended by other people. So the only real question left is, whose garden are you going to tend? Whose exponential curve will you help launch?